Lila Galustian, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I'm the host of Ask a Therapist. For today's episode, what we're doing is a bit of a Q&A. So what I've done is I've gathered a bunch of questions from strangers I've crossed paths in the streets, people on social media, friends, and random people I've met at random places. And we're going to answer these questions today. So, we're going to start with our first question. Does therapy actually work, or is it just talking? It's a very good question, actually. So, therapy is talking. Therapy is coming into a space and talking. What the therapist does, though, is listens to the in-betweens, watches your body language, watches kind of the way you're talking, gathers information about your history, medical background, all these other things, and through your talking helps you understand what isn't working in the way you think, in the way you're responding to your emotions, and some of the behaviors that are so second nature to you. It helps you understand where they came from. It helps you understand if you want to change it, and if you're working with a behavioral therapist, they guide you with the change in what you need to make that change. So it does work. It works if you're willing to put in the work. There's that. And yeah, it is just talking and engaging. So I hope I answered that question. Aren't therapists mandated reporters? Yes. And I think this is one of the biggest fears why a lot of people in their minds don't go to see a therapist. Therapists are mandated reporters. And mandated reporters are people that suspect or can confirm any form of child abuse or child neglect, elder abuse and elder neglect, harm to self and harm to others. They have to report this. So that means they're mandated by law to report any suspicion of child abuse or neglect, elder abuse and neglect, harm to self and harm to others. And if you're someone that's struggling with that and you have fear that you're going to be reported, there's two truths. As long as you come in with the honest truth and the report is going to be made, but you have to understand the system is so understaffed and the system is so lack of budget and so many, they don't have enough space and they don't have enough people to take care of all of these reports. So just because you're being reported doesn't mean anything is going to happen. And as long as you're working towards a change, then you don't have much to worry about. A report is just a report. And a lot of times what people think will be reported is not reported. And the goal is to help the child, the elder, or the person sitting in front of you. And the goal of that mandated reporting is to protect the people. So, yeah, I don't have a good answer of convincing someone to come to therapy and not be afraid of the mandated reporting, especially those that know there is child abuse and neglect happening at home. There is elder abuse and neglect happening in the system or at home. Or they are struggling with harm with themselves and harm to others. But the thing that I will say is as long as there is motivation to change and there is willingness to change, the reporting won't make a difference. Because the point is to protect that child, to protect that elderly human, to protect that person struggling from harm and trauma. What can a stranger tell me that I don't already know? Well, a stranger can tell you a lot. A stranger walking just next to you can tell you a lot. So there's a lot that you don't know that you think you know. And for anyone that has this that says this because they read a lot of self-help books, self-help books are great, and educational books are great in helping you learn and understand. Implementation is different. Implementation is something that you need to be taught, you need to be coached, you need to be supervised, you need to have someone to go back and say this worked and that worked and this didn't work. And that's kind of where a stranger that's educated and spent hours and spent years educating themselves to know how to help another person and guide another person in understanding how to implement these self-help books is very helpful. And a stranger is much better than a friend, because there isn't that emotional, I need to fix something for you, or I feel really bad that you're going through it. A therapist will have empathy, but their job is to help anyone, and we don't really get emotionally that connected. We're not supposed to. So a stranger is much better help when it comes to medical or mental health stuff, especially an educated stranger that knows how to do the job, rather than family and friends that sometimes enable the behaviors that you're trying to change. Which just goes to the next question. How is this different from venting to a friend? It's very different. Venting to a friend is something that I highly recommend. I recommend everyone have a social system. I recommend everyone have friends. And if you're struggling with having friends, then go to a therapist so they can teach you how to build those relationships. And it's okay. And it's different from venting with a friend, because when you're venting with a friend is emotionally involved. A friend is emotionally guided in those conversations. And even a very honest and blunt friend that will call you out on your shit will still emotionally try to fix things, emotionally hold back from things, because they love you and they care about you. And a therapist is, we love and we care, not in the same way, with a lot more limits, a lot of boundaries. And at the end of the day, we know that you are just another human being, just another case, that all we can do is do our best to help, and the rest is on your end. And if you don't take the help, or if we're not a good fit, then you go to the next person, or we don't see each other ever again. Even if you graduate, I don't necessarily see my patients after they graduate, because that's just another person that came and asked for help and left. So it's just a person that crossed my path. A friend is someone that you want to stick around. So venting to a friend is a great thing, and really do not stop doing that. And going to a therapist and asking for help is a lot different than venting to a friend. If I'm not depressed, why would I need therapy? Well, I don't know, actually. I can't really answer that question for you. If you're not depressed, do you have anxiety? Which everyone has anxiety, and everyone goes through phases of depression. If you ever experience an intense grief, you go through a stage of depression. If something has really bad happened in your life, you're going to go through a stage of depression. Being depressed doesn't necessarily mean you are a depressed person and you have major depressive disorder. It means that life is hard, and that's okay. If you have anxiety, everyone has anxiety. We function via anxiety, and at this point, all of our news is causing us anxiety. So everyone is living with anxiety. But I can't really answer why you would need therapy if you don't have depression, but you don't have to have depression to seek therapy. You can have other issues and other things inside of you that you're trying to navigate and change, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a better version of yourself without having a mental health disorder. This one's a really good one and a really tough one, so I'm going to get myself ready on this one. How can I help my addict child seek help? Addiction is a hard one. And the quick answer to how can I help my addict child seek help is you can't. You can't help anyone help themselves. We can't love anyone to the point of helping themselves. It doesn't matter whether it's addiction, whether it's depression, whether it's schizophrenia, whether it's cancer, Alzheimer's. You can't help someone help themselves. It's not something that a human is capable of doing for another human. What we can do is work on ourselves and accept the pain that they're causing and accept the experience that we're going through. Addiction is a tough one because an addict is in love with the drug that they're choosing. An addict is in love with what they're putting in their body, and that time frame of not being in this world and experiencing in this life is like, that's where they want to be all the time. And they can't get themselves to stop wanting to be there. They keep giving into the want. They don't have a discipline to not give them what they want. And also, it's a very tough thing to go do a drug and then your body's craving it because there's a biological aspect to that. And then to want to stop and your body's throwing a tantrum because it wants that drug now because it's used to having it. And now your body's going through all of that. And you just keep saying to yourself, I want it, and you end up giving it to yourself. So you can't help an addict. An addict has to hit their rock bottom. And when I say an addict has to hit their rock bottom, no one can predict what a rock bottom for an addict is. Some addicts get raped, and that's not a rock bottom. Some addicts are homeless, and that's not a rock bottom. Some addicts get beaten the crap out of to the point where they're dying, and that's not a rock bottom. Some addicts overdose 10 times, and that's not a rock bottom. Sometimes a rock bottom is a loss of an animal and them not being there, a loss of a human and them not being there. Sometimes a rock bottom, which is ideally the case, is a person getting so sick and tired of themselves and what they're doing and how they're harming their families. So you cannot help an addict get help for themselves. An addict any human has to get to a point where they are tired of the life that they have created for themselves, and now they have to actually work hard to make that change. So, sorry I don't have a good answer for that, is my judgment, but it's about the answer that I do have. Why do we have so many school shootings? Oh wow, these questions really went intense, which I love. I love these questions. These are questions that actually a lot of people do ask me. Well, there's a lot of sick people out in the world, and parents don't know that their kids are sick and struggling, or they keep justifying the sickness by making excuses. We keep justifying sickness, and the society we live in keeps justifying sickness. Look at our president and how people are justifying him. But we do justify people's actions and people's unhealthy patterns. And people see the red flags, but it's their loved ones and then their kids, and they don't really want to do something about that. But why do we have so many school shootings? Well, that's so many things. It's the policies we have around guns, and I know a lot of people don't like hearing that and don't like that that's a reality in our world, and they want the right to be armed to protect themselves. And I think that's kind of a problem to look at. Why do we need to be armed to protect ourselves in a country where we're supposed to be free and we're supposed to be healthy? And also, we have humans going through experiences with lack of love, and they are growing up with a lot of hate and anger, and that's kind of, as they're developing with hate and anger, and hate and anger lead to very scary behaviors that hurt other humans, and it doesn't matter the age that they're hurting, it doesn't matter who they're hurting. That hate and anger just leads to impulsive behaviors of hurting other people and leads to impulsive or planned out school shootings. It's at the core of school shootings, it's hate and anger. At the core of shooting a gun is hate and anger. And that's kind of where that comes from. Don't know if I answered that question, but I did the best I could with answering that question. Isn't therapy just for weak people who can't handle life? Okay, well, yeah. in a sense, it's not for weak people that can't handle life, and you're in a weak place in life and you don't know how to handle life because you're feeling weak. Psychologically, you're weak. You don't have the education or the understanding to really help yourself handle it more effectively. So yeah, you are going through a weak mind. You have a weak mind during the time. And it depends on the type of therapy you're seeking, but the person that's asking this question is probably going through a weak, they're judging themselves to be weak. And yeah, it's okay to be weak. There's nothing wrong with weakness. Weakness is a normal stage that we as humans and animals will go through. When you're sick, you're a weak animal, you're a weak human. When you're not thinking straight, you're weak, and that's okay. When you're an addict, you're weak. You don't have the strength to pull yourself out of the drug. When you're a judgmental person, you're weak. You're weak in insecurities. And there's nothing wrong with being weak if you face that weakness and you find how to learn how to be stronger in it. But if you're going to judge things to be weak and push back and not and try to avoid it and give into your ego, as analytics like to say, then yeah, there is something wrong with that and you're being weak, and that's that. You just kind of have to accept that you have a weak mind and you're choosing to stay weak instead of doing the stronger thing, the difficult thing, which is the stronger thing, and asking for help and learning how to do better and learning how to be better for yourself. Because if you're judging that it's a weak thing, then that's a judgment you're carrying inside your mind. It's a you thing. Why should I pay someone to listen to me? Well, you can use your insurance. Insurance isn't the best. We all know, even with medical stuff, insurance isn't the best. And unfortunately, insurance that's an uneducated, greedy system is dictating care. But if you find a good therapist that doesn't give a fuck about what the insurance is telling it they have to do, and they care more about the person sitting in front of them, that person, they're not just listening to you. And also listening can go a really, really long way in helping you kind of release and feel some relief. And they're not just listening to you. They're helping you understand yourself. They're helping you face parts of you that you are ashamed of, helping you learn how to deal with that shame, how to sit with it, how to be okay with being ashamed of yourself, and helping you learn to actually feel stronger and more confident in yourself, which it takes work and it takes guidance. So yeah. How long is this supposed to take? I'm sorry. I laugh because I actually get this in my sessions all the time. It depends on what each person is coming in with, and it depends on how motivated you are for yourself to make a difference, and how you protect yourself from not getting in your own way in the change, and not letting you becoming butthurt over realizing that you are the problem in your life and you are the one that's caused all of these chaoses, and you have to work on doing the work, and you have to tolerate the pain. You have to learn on dealing with things outside of how you've been dealing with life, and pushing people away or forcing people to give you what you want, or getting angry when someone's saying something you don't like, or any of those things. If you don't get in your own way, it doesn't take that long, actually, 3 to 6 months at max, with behavioral work, with behavioral modalities, I'll say that specifically. But if you do get in your own way, and you're going to have hiccups here and there, and we do get in our own way because we're humanity, and that's what we do. We create problems for ourselves constantly, and then we cry about why we created those problems. But if you don't get in your own way, it'll take 3 to 6 months. If you do get in your own way, it depends on how long it takes for you to stop getting in your own way. Will they try to fix me or tell me what to do? A bit of both and a little bit of not both. Two truths exist in this. Both of it depends on how you see it. They won't try to fix you because no one can fix another human being, and it's definitely not a therapist's job to fix another person. It's not about fixing. There's nothing necessarily wrong. You're just going through a normal human experience, and that's okay, and based off of your history and based off of your background and based off of your development, like these are the coping mechanisms and the way you know how to live. There's not that there's something wrong with you, and the way you're doing things aren't working. It's not our job to fix anybody. So if you go into a therapist that says that they can fix you, please walk away. If you go to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, and social worker, if they think that they can fix you, please walk away. That person doesn't know how to do their job. It's not our job to fix anybody. We will tell you what to do. We will recommend things for you. We will suggest things to you. We won't force you to do anything. It's not our job to force anyone to help themselves either. It's if you come to us, we will do our best to help you help yourself. That is our job. The job of a therapist and a psychologist and a social worker is to help you help yourself at the end of the day. We're the live self-help book. We're the self-help book that you don't have to read, that you hear out loud, and you hear it in the moment that you need to hear it, rather than trying to figure out when you need to hear it. So it's not our job to fix you. It's not our job to tell you what to do. It is our job to guide you. It's our job to listen and redirect you and call you out on things. And it is our job to try to help you help yourself. What if I spend all this money and nothing changes? Well, yeah, therapy is costing a lot more money nowadays, unfortunately, because, well, insurance isn't necessarily helping with that. They're not paying a rate where people can live off of doing this job, and it's still a job that we still have to pay our bills, and we still have to be normal, regular humans functioning in society, and we don't have to be broke just to help the world. But to answer your question, what if I spend all this money and nothing changes? It's impossible for nothing to change. One of the things that I actually tell my supervisees all the time with cases that they bulldoze out because they just weren't ready to put in the work, and they just kind of run away from facing themselves again, and they go back to causing problems for themselves. Every session gave them something. Every session stayed in their memory. Something we said somewhere made a difference. And you're going to experience that change one way or another. You are going to experience a change in yourself with every little thing that you do. That is just how life works. Every second of life we're changing. And every information that's coming in, we're changing. We are changing constantly. That is the one thing that we can constantly all admit to and agree on. With every information coming in and every information going into your brain, that is changing you. You just don't realize it, and you don't know it, and in time you will see it. So your money is always going to be well spent because your intention of going in was for the right thing. The information that went into your brain still helped you towards your intention and your goal. It still did its thing. And your brain took in that information, smartest and dumbest organ. You set a goal. You said you wanted to change. Your brain caused you to engage in behaviors. You did those behaviors. You paid money for that help, and that information your brain took and is doing something with it. So change did happen. And nothing changes is a cognitive distortion, because everything is changing constantly every millisecond of our lives. So yeah. Let's see. Is therapy just about blaming my parents or past? No. So your parents are causes of our problems and our coping mechanisms. Parents and our experiences, our development and our experiences are how we become who we are, right? So they're in your memory, they're in your the way your brain copes, the way your brain sends signals to engage in behaviors, the way you think, the things you say to yourself, the way you see the world. All of these things do come from our parents, development, and our experiences and our memories. And one thing I say to anyone that walks into the room, you here right now are here for the problems that are happening in your life right now. And right now, the only person in charge and the only person that can help you is you. You are the only one that can make the change. You are the only one that has to put in the work. Your parents don't have to change. The environment doesn't have to change. The world doesn't have to change for you to change. You have to change, and the world will change, and the environment will change, and everyone around you will change. But you are the only one that has to work hard to change, to fix the problems that exist in your life right now. So yeah, they might tell you about why you have certain coping mechanisms, and they might validate you and help you understand how it was caused by your parents or caused by past experience. And you can't change that. You can't change the past, nor can the therapist change any of that for you. What they can do is help you understand why you do what you do, why you feel the way you feel, why you think the way you think, and give you guidance on how you can start doing these little things and little techniques to start changing. Isn't therapy just for rich people or white people? That's a really good question. It used to be. It used to be just for rich people and white people. And no, it doesn't matter what socioeconomic status, class you come from, what skin color you have, psychology, your brain. Every human has a brain. Every animal has a brain. Every kid has a brain, and the brain is psychology. The brain is mental health. The way you think, the way your coping mechanisms are developed. The brain and mental health. I'm sorry, I'm gonna curse a little bit. The brain and mental health don't give zero fucks about how much money you make, what skin color you have, what kind of culture you come from, what kind of religious belief you have, if you believe in God, if you don't believe in God. The brain and the way your memories work and the way your coping mechanisms work and the way the body functions, the way it sends signals, it's for everybody. And it's something that everybody can benefit from at multiple stages in their life. You don't need it consistently and continuously for the rest of your life. You don't need to go to therapy every day of your life until you die. And there are different phases of life where you need to go back and check in on your brain and see why your brain is sending certain signals for you to act the way to act and say the things you do and see the world the way you see the world, and help you realize that it's not working and you need to do something different. So no, therapy does not care about your sexuality, your pronouns, your skin color, your religion. None of that really matters in the room. It's your brain, your experiences, your background, and kind of what you're bringing into the room. It's about you. What if therapy doesn't respect my beliefs or my values? Well, there's two forms, two things, two truths in this. And I love this question. It's a very good question. Our belief system isn't always correct. We don't always have a correct belief system. That's kind of your belief system might be causing a lot of your problems. And a lot of times we think we value something, but we're doing something, we believe in something, and we're feeling a lot of shame and guilt in it. And shame and guilt specifically is pretty much the emotional signal that you're going against your own values. So if you have a belief system that isn't working for you, well then a therapist doesn't have to respect that belief system. They're actually going to challenge you on changing that belief system. They're going to understand the background of where that belief system came from, And they're not going to walk on eggshells around something that isn't working for you. When you're bringing it into the room and they see it's not working for you, they're going to call it out. And again, a therapist has to be good enough to know not to bring any of their shit, and it's just about you in the room and what's working for you and what's not working for you in your community and your society. Your values, it's impossible for a therapist not to respect your values. Every person has a value system that they go by. If a therapist is judging your values and you can clearly, confidently sit there and say, yeah, like my value is to lie to people and I value lying to people. Well, the therapist has to respect that you value lying to people. They're going to say your lying is causing X, Y, and Z problems. But yeah, if you value lying to people, then it's kind of your value system. You've been taught that. We can't unteach what's ingrained inside of your value system. More often though, you're coming in with a problem, they're going to call it out, and your belief in your value system, they don't always have to respect. It's actually sometimes we have to challenge it. And it's not that we're disrespecting it, it's that we're challenging something that's not working for you. And then there's so many cultural things. If this question is specifically talking about cultural aspects, again, with cultural beliefs and values, some of those values are not healthy in the society that we live in 2025. So your therapist might challenge that cultural value and that cultural belief. And a therapist will learn about your culture. And another thing I say is all cultures aren't the same. 2 Asian households aren't the same. 2 Middle Eastern households aren't the same. 2 Jewish households aren't the same. 2 Hispanic households aren't the same. 2 Black households are not the same. All of these bigger cultures come from subcultures, and there can be a household that has a Mexican mother and a Puerto Rican mother, or a Guatemalan father and a Mexican mother. They're Hispanic, but they're not the same culture. And then also there could be a household that has Iranian mom and an Iranian dad, but the one Iranian mom came from the north side of Iran and the Iranian dad came from the south side of Iran. Again, not the same culture, not the same background. So a therapist will ask the person in the room, the person that came to them, and ask them about their culture, and ask them to teach them about their culture, the culture that exists inside their household. And there might be challenging of some of those beliefs because you might not fit into the 2025 year. And I'm not talking about the United States, I'm talking about worldwide. This is something that we have changed. We are in a different decade. We are a different type of humans. We have evolved. The newer generation has evolved. And if you do not want to change with the world, then you are staying stuck in fear and insecurities within yourself, and that's not going to work. But if we're talking about respecting beliefs and values, a therapist is a curious person. They're curious. They want to learn, and the person sitting in front of them asking them for help is the best person to teach them what's happening in their culture and in their background. And also, there's nothing wrong with finding someone that's specific to your culture, specific to your skin color, specific to your religion, specific to the background that you grew up in. They're still going to learn from you about your specific culture, but they might know more about the overall gist of how you grew up, and they might be less judgmental, which no therapist is supposed to be judgmental, so I don't even know why I said that. And you can find someone that's in your culture. That's a great way to start. And if you don't fit in with anyone that's in your culture and you go to someone that's outside of your culture and belief, then they'll ask you questions and they'll want to learn about your culture. And that's what a good therapist does. Aren't there other ways to heal without therapy, like religion, self-help, etc.? Yes, there are. And And therapy is self-help, actually, because at the end of the day, you are helping yourself. You're meeting with someone 1 hour a week, or you're going to a group to learn how to implement something, and you're helping yourself from the things that you're learning. And religion can be extreme. Religion can be judgmental. Religion is black and white. Religion is all or nothing, and those are distorted ways of thinking. And religion can give hope. Religion can bring faith, which are healing emotions. And religion can exude that into a human. So yes, religion can heal with hope and with faith and with trusting something bigger than you and allowing yourself to release your fears and your insecurities and your thoughts and your judgments to something bigger than you. And that's a phase of acceptance that religion tends to help a lot of people get to. Like, I can't do things within myself, so I'm just releasing and accepting and letting go. Meditation can cause that. Mindfulness is one of the best ways to do that. Practicing radical acceptance is the best way to do that. And religion brings society, which is really helpful. Religion brings a social group together. And in every society, in every social group, and especially in something that promotes black and white thinking, promotes all or nothing thinking, that black and white and all or nothing thinking can cause problems. That black and white and all or nothing thinking can cause issues if you're in a religious cohort of very intense people that intensely believe in it and are very obsessed with it. That's not healthy. And yeah, there's a lot of religious places that have helped and healed many, many, many people, because a priest and or someone that stands as in every religion, I'm blanking out because I'm talking too much, but they're kind of like therapists. They're guides. So yeah. And they're educated. They actually get educated on how to guide people. Hopefully, just like our version, they don't let their shit come in the room when they're helping somebody. But yeah, it can. And it can actually make things worse too. So two truths exist in that. What actually happens in the session? If you're asking about the first couple of sessions, well, the first couple of sessions, it's a lot of questions. You don't go straight to solving all your problems. They're going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to ask a lot of background questions. That's kind of where the mandated reporting comes in. We gather more information. Do we have to, what is it? Are you suicidal? Are you homicidal? Is there child abuse? Is there neglect? Is there elder abuse? Is there neglect? Is there domestic violence? Is there safety concerns? What's the medical background? Medical really plays a role in psychology because the brain is an organ, and the brain is the main organ, and it connects to all the other organs. So if there's like an organ that's not really healthy, it can affect the brain. That's why medical and mental should actually be a lot more in touch with cases and patients, but medical doesn't really think that they need to. And yeah, so in the first couple of sessions, it's a lot of assessment. And then the next sessions, it's some sessions, it feels like there's nothing happening, but changes are happening, because change happens in every second with every information. Some sessions, there are breakthroughs, and in the room, something came up where the therapist is like, well, take a look at that. And you're like, oh my God, holy shit, what the fuck, wow. Yeah. So it's you going in, sitting down in front of the stranger that you're paying, that has boundaries and limits with you, but is trying to make the space feel safe and like a friendship, but with boundaries and limits, because it's still a professional relationship. And you start blurting out everything you've been thinking and all the questions you've had and all the things you've thought about yourself and the things that are happening in your life, and you let the rest kind of naturally happen. So that's what therapy looks like. What if I don't know what to talk about? Just start talking. It's really, you don't need to know what to talk about. You just start talking and the rest will happen. It's kind of magical that way. Can therapy help even if I don't have big trauma? Yes. Big trauma. Everyone has trauma, and not everyone has PTSD, and not everyone's trauma is this horrifying, horrible thing, and everyone has experiences that have negatively impacted them, that have scared them, that have hurt them intensely, and it's saved in their memory and saved as a coping mechanism. So everyone experiences some sort of trauma in life. You can't not. As a child, you're going to experience a lot of shocks. And those are memories and experiences that build coping mechanisms and teach your brain how to handle certain things, and that's kind of how the brain functions. So, you don't need to have a big trauma to go to therapy, because you still have patterns that have been developed in your brain and in your body from memories that you might not even remember, or you might not think that were a big deal, because they kind of weren't a big deal, and they did influence you to be a little bit more afraid, or a little bit more standoffish, or a little bit more judgmental, or whatever it might be. What is the difference between psychiatrist and a therapist? A psychiatrist meets you for 15 minutes and provides you medication. A good psychiatrist meets you for 45 minutes, provides a little bit of therapy, and provides you with medication. A therapist does not provide you with medication. A therapist is more holistic, and they are a lot more, it takes them longer to help you, because medication is a short fix and it doesn't actually always help. But a therapist does not provide you medication. They're more holistic, and they're more about helping you with talking, and helping you with doing new behaviors, and guiding you to think a little differently, and change the way you do things inside of your body, and change the way, and help you create new behaviors that'll help you change things inside of your body. But they don't provide medication, and a psychiatrist provides medication. A psychologist is a doctorate level therapist, and psychologists can either be clinical, that means they've done a lot more education, and they've gone to doctorate level of education to do clinical work, spent a lot more money, and spent a lot more time in school. And then there are psychologists that just do studies and conduct studies and help all of society figure out how to do better with studies, and that's kind of how we innovate and change. So it's also psychologists. When is medication helpful in therapy? A lot of people jump to medication. Medication doesn't necessarily have to be the cure. And when you go to a medical provider and you get diagnosed ADHD or ADD, or you get diagnosed anxiety, or you're going through a depressive spell in your life, they might jump to giving you medication, and I really hope you choose to go to a psychiatrist, and one that knows how to do their job, to tell you whether you actually need that medication or not, because medical providers don't really have the education psychiatrists have on providing medication, and I hope medical providers could stop doing that and redirect people to psychiatrists who are educated in that topic. And that's their job, and that's their scope of competence, but I regress. Medication is a necessity for schizophrenia. Medication is a necessity for major depressive disorder. Medication, it helps people struggling with OCD, with anxiety. It helps decrease the anxiety for them to learn new behavioral patterns from a therapist to change and make their life better and create a better life. Schizophrenia is similar. It helps with the symptoms while they go to therapy and they change their behaviors with changing their neural pathways and changing their brain patterns and changing behaviorally. The major depressive disorder, same thing. Medication helps with decreasing the intensity so the behavioral work can get done a lot more efficiently and they can heal and recover more effectively. And they might not fully heal, but they can learn how to live with these symptoms and learn how to be a better version of themselves and function in society and exist in society with these things. And a really, really good psychiatrist knows how to prescribe medication and then guide the person to a therapist that's going to help them find the way. But a medication is not the fix. Just because you go to a psychiatrist and you get medicated doesn't mean that everything's going to get fixed. You have to change neural pathways. You have to change things in the brain. And changing things in the brain comes from doing therapy, weekly therapy. So medication is helpful to certain diagnoses, and for so many people, they take it as an easy way out, and it's something that's accessible, so they take the easy way out. And for some, that's okay, and it doesn't affect their life, and for so many, it's not okay, and it actually does affect their life. So I hope I answered that question. Let's see. Does going to therapy mean I am crazy? No, we all go through phases of thinking we're crazy. And if you think you're crazy, then you're definitely not crazy. And yeah. So, but if you don't think you're crazy, definitely might be crazy. Am I just being dramatic? Yeah, possibly. We all are. When we're in these emotional states of our lives, emotions are dramatic, and that's okay. And if you're in a room with someone that's a professional, then they might be able to call you out on your dramaticness without making you feel embarrassed about it or judging you for it. So yeah, you might be dramatic, and that's okay. And that's why you're coming to therapy. That's the place to come, where your friends and your family will judge you, but a therapist will not. What if I've caused my own problems? We all do. We all do. We might have history of people creating patterns in our brain, and our memories are creating neural pathways, but we are choosing to give in to every action and every urge and every emotion and every thought. And those things are the things that are causing our problems right now, right here. So yes, you are most probably causing your problems. And that's why having someone help you figure out how to solve your problems rather than asking everyone else to fix them to solve your problems, you have to solve your problems. You are the cause of your problems. You got to solve your problems. So that is the end. I will leave us with that. I hope this was a helpful Q&A. I really did love these questions. These are really good questions that not a lot of people feel comfortable asking. So I appreciate everyone that sent me their questions, anyone that I walked past and was willing to engage in a conversation with me and throw a question on the sheet for me. Thank you. And I hope everyone enjoys their week. Bye.